I meet far too many people who don't know some of the things they should know to be a good fundraiser. And to paraphrase David Ogilvy, the difference between a good fundraiser and a great fundraiser is that a great fundraiser knows more.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you need to know, and I recently wrote a piece called My First 3 Weeks as a Fundraiser. And what characterized that was that when I joined as a fundraiser, I was lucky because I had a mentor, one of the architects of Oxfam. So I was very lucky. But there was nothing around. There was no Institute of Fundraising, there were no journals, there were no good books on fundraising.
So other than your mentor, there wasn't really anything
nothing.
Else. Yeah.
So I was left to my own devices. Now a new fundraiser coming in nowadays has the opposite problem.
Too much.
There's so much. There is so much. So where do you go? Who do you turn to? Who do you get in touch with? Well, I think that needs to be mapped out. And so at Sophie, we've been mapping out the first 3 weeks of being a fundraiser. And
what's signposting, really useful resources and key
I mean,
fundamentals?
There are some basics that people really should need to know. There's the 34 fundamentals of fundraising, which is one of the most visited parts of the Sophie site. There's, you know, the best fundraising opportunity of all, how to say thank you properly with specimen letters and, you know, everything. It's all there. It's all there to be borrowed. It's all free. It's 24/7, no problem. So, you know, loads of people have labored to produce this kind of information. It's heartbreaking that more fundraisers, so many fundraisers don't know about it or don't avail themselves of it, and they miss out on such a lot. The other factor is the history of fundraising, which I've talked to you about before as well. And there's a huge body of history. So when I started direct mail fundraising with others in the 1980s, it was a completely new area. We thought we'd invented direct mail. Then I discovered Dr. Thomas Bernardo in the Victorian era writing brilliant letters that I would, you know, just wonderful use of language, and brilliant fundraising, emotional, tear-jerking, heart-stopping stories that made your heart soar because they were so uplifting. That was in the Victorian era. And I thought, well, great, they were doing this 150 years ago or whatever. And then I discovered a letter from a Japanese monk called Ihai Dogen, writing in 1236, one of the best fundraising letters I've ever read, because it covered different propositions, it had the target audiences, there were lists of benefits that you got, and he was raising money for a Buddhist training center in Japan 800 plus years ago. So I thought, wow, fundraising back 800 years ago. And then I found the oldest exhibit on Sophie 3,500 years ago, a fundraising campaign to raise money, Moses and the children of Israel in the desert of Egypt, raising money and exceeding their target, so much so that Moses had to return gifts and donations and jewellery that
quite
had been added.
to give money back, right?
You know, and the first major donor dinner was King David in Jerusalem. They raised something like $400 million in equivalent cash in a dinner to build a temple to King Solomon.
It's amazing. You know, interesting.
But people don't know this, right?
Yes.
They don't know this. Why? Yeah. They should know this because it's informative and it gives you great passion for your roots.
Yeah, this is. I agree. Rather than this idea that sometimes perhaps is a certain narrative that, you know, fundraising is a new profession or that kind of thing. So it gives you that real sense of history and, I guess, background, or, you know, like you say, it's been going on since forever.